So, good evening, everybody. Namaste, and warm welcome today to this wonderful program, which is on mindful presence. I'm so glad you all could make it for this program, and I'm so grateful, filled with so much of compassion to see everyone's support and contribution in sharing knowledge and being present here. So maybe let's look at checking with everybody. Where are you from? Maybe if you want to put that on the chat, would be great. Where are you from? Which city? Which country? Could be anything. Okay, we have somebody in Nasik joining in. Bangalore, Mumbai. Hi, Geeta. Good evening. Priyanka. Hi, Priyanka. Good evening to you as well. Bangalore, Indranil, Pune. Okay. I was wondering, Indranil, you're back in Pune for a minute. Okay. Abhilash from Pune, good evening. Bhavna, Bangalore, great. Srini, Florida, great. Good morning to you. Laukik is Pune, great. So great to see everyone here, and so welcome to this wonderful program. So let's go with the slides that I would like to invite you, so people are joining in. Okay.
Good evening, Paras.
Hi, good evening, Arun. How are you?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Okay. And you're in India or you're in US now?
No, Paras, I'm in US. It's been more than a month, and because of that climate change, we're going through that same problems again.
Okay.
Throat infection and everything. So.
Oh, okay. Hope all is well now.
Yeah, much better.
Much better. Okay, Anil from Bombay. Yeah, great. It's great to see you, Anil. So maybe you're wondering about, what exactly is mindful presence and why do I need to attend this program? What is in it for me? Or how will I benefit with this program or with this session that we have for the next 60 minutes or 59 minutes? So let me start with sharing about the concept of fluctuation. We're either living in the future or living in the past. But and very, very rarely we live in the present moment. So bringing this session for all of you is to preparing ourselves that how can I be more present in the present. So that's something which is a highlight of this program. And then if we look at mindful presence, the attention span for people. If anybody is on off mute, can mute yourself. I can hear a lot in the background. Thank you. So I was talking about the attention span. Even if I go to Insta today, maybe first 5 seconds, and then we just swipe it upward or downward. So that means the attention span is very limited. So if I'm a leader, I'm a manager, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, how do I really get the attention of people? How do I create a lasting impression about me being with that particular space? And also, how can I be mindful that, hey, that I would be in the now and remind myself if I fluctuate between? How do I build trust? I want to build trust. I'm a busy leader, working a lot, and I have very less time to pay attention because of my travel. So how do I build trust with my employees? How do I build trust with my partner where I am traveling for the next, say, about 3 months, less communication, more on the on the video callings? So how do I build trust? How do I be in the moment in that relationship where the other partner feels, hey, even if it's far distance, but I never felt like that. You're just with me here. So this webinar is for you in case if you want to create some sort of change in the way of your communication style, in the way you're listening to your people. Also, how do you want to empower your communication skills and leadership skills? Today, everything is all about being in the now. How can you connect with people? People are bored with the messages and there's a less contact or face-to-face. So whenever you are there, how can you be psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, not just physically be present there with that person or with a group of people? So this webinar is all that what we cover here. So it's not only for coaches or only for trainers, it's for every common man who wishes, or woman, or them, or every other gender, who wish to change, who wish to be aware. The more and more we are aware, the less and less we go away from the ignorance. And also, how can I be more non-judgmental? And that is something which I'm struggling because it's work in progress. When I was born with a mug which was filled with some information that I perceived from the age of 0 to 8 without clear awareness about life. And now I struggle a lot for the next so many years because there's so much in the unconscious which is played out without my awareness. So how can I just pause and be mindfully aware about myself? So this particular webinar is for all these things you could account for. So now let's look at what are the agenda that we would look at covering in this program. One is about what is presence. How do I know I'm present? How do I build that space? Because there is so much of fluctuation. Is it just by closing my eyes? But that's a meditation. That's about dhyan and dharana, where you're focusing to be connecting in the moment. But how can I be doing that when I'm in a space? Maybe when I'm talking to my team, my family. How can I be there? How can I play that role that I am assigned for? Then we'll talk about understanding mindfulness in general way, the definition that I created when learning this, and it's work in progress. The components of presence is something that I created. I felt these are some of my life learnings. This one is observe, listening skills, open communication, the concept of internal world and external world, accounting versus discounting, and my space, your space, and our space. This is a wonderful framework you can use with as many people as you can, because this will change a lot after the session. If you apply them, you'll see the results. Then how do I understand the triggers or positive and negative anchors? Sometimes they help me to grow, and sometimes it's difficult. And then how do I perform the assigned role that I chose when I'm switching, maybe from my office to coming at home or in a social setup? And there's one of the interesting framework that I created was a pre-QA framework, which at any point of time you want to just be present and you just lost your track. This particular framework will help you immediately to come back and present. And how can I apply this? All learnings, how can I be mindfully present? Which all places? How can I apply this learning being as a coach, as a partner, as a leader, and also in general life as celebration? So if there are any questions, if you feel there's something that you need to share or you want to ask me, there's an option called as raise your hand. You can always do that. If I miss out any chat, feel free to ask me questions as well. I'll be happy to support you with it. So moving on to the next slide is a very quick check-in with everyone. The 3 questions. How are you feeling today? Have you heard about presence, the word presence earlier? And what does that mean to you? And what changes do you wish to see in self now? Now, out of these 3 questions, you can choose all 3. You can choose either one, and you can put that in the chat. Let us see where are you, how are you feeling, and what have you learned about yourself and presence concept as a whole. So So if anyone and everyone would like to quickly type in, would be excellent. And a few of them would like to just quickly participate by raising your hand. We have another 5 minutes to spend on this. I'm just putting these questions in the chat so that we don't miss out. All right. So yes, who is that?
Bhavna.
Hi, Bhavna.
Hi.
So,
I'm feeling great today. Actually, I saw the message. I mean, I'm glad that you sent in the Zoom invite just about 10 minutes before the thing, because I would have missed it otherwise. And I'm so happy to be here. I have heard about presence before, and I do practice it a lot. In terms of parenting, especially when I'm with Arundhati, and she, with children, they sense it so much more quickly than with adults that you are not there. Like, although you're physically there, you're not mentally present. So there's always that tap on the cheek or, pulling my hair saying, Amma, listen. So, so being present would mean to actually be paying attention and to feel connected or to establish a connection with the other person. How that is possible, like for now, I've been practicing it by, constantly being aware of all my senses. That really helps me, especially touch. It really helps me to be present in the moment and pay attention to everything that she's doing. So, and that I continue, of course, through the sessions or wherever I am, I'm constantly trying to hold on to something or, probably join my hands, rub my palms together, something like that. Not really fidgeting, but occasionally bringing myself back to the present if I ever feel, myself drifting away with too much talking.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that, Bhavna.
Thank you.
And we have many more people writing to be focused, not distracted, to live in present, while Jyoti says to be mentally available. Well, Gita says feeling great, aware of now, with desire to worry less for the future. Wonderful. I heard about presence, Srini says. For me, it's being in the moment, think and act in the moment. Don't worry about the past and don't be anxious about the future. Yes, Devu, go ahead.
Thank you, Paris. Presence for me is all about being here and now, in the moment. So, it's most of the times we have a stimulus which triggers our emotions, and that gives rise to feelings, and we react to those feelings. So we are in a reactive mode rather than responding mode. So if one is aware of his inner thoughts, inner self, and is aware of the external environment, then I think we can be called as being into present. Okay, so that presence is all about here and now, and you being in that here and now. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Devu. Namita, you wrote it so powerfully, feeling grateful. I've heard the word presence earlier. I wish to be able to manage being in the present, especially when we are overcome by emotion based on outward experience. Absolutely. And that's something that we will focus a lot about, how emotions they come and go like an ebb and flow, and how we could be more mindfully present by bypassing that space. And there's a concept on the internal world and external world, and I want to talk a little bit more on that. So let's really take it further. Sandeep says being in present means be available for myself. Wow, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah, I mean, how much time do I really spend for my own self? And I literally ask myself this question every day, at least 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, and so important. Okay, hi Joseph, happy to see you.
Yeah. Same here.
Good to see you. Yes.
Yeah.
So let me quickly take you through what is the definition of mindfulness, what I learned. So for me, mindfulness is a psychological and spiritual process. So I term this as a process of evolving and growing awareness. The more and more I'm learning about things, the more and more I'm unlearning about many things. So this growing awareness is about the body, it's about the mind, it's the spirit, where observing, questioning, and reflecting are the three central themes to live in the moment. How do I know I'm living in the moment? Is to observe myself, observe the space, question, reflect, pause, and reflect. By leading to gain accountability, emotional sensitivity, and effective communication with self, others, and environment. It is the ability to detach from fantasies and unconscious patterns, where we talk about being mind readers in life, like injunctions and drivers, and create balance and equanimity. So let me take you quickly to the next slide. What exactly is mindful presence or presence? And it's very inspired by Buddhism concept and Zen principle. So Zen is, again, coming from the Buddhism community, but they learned and they got studies in China, and Buddhists were from there, and Japan. So I love the principles where they talk about the denial of the ego. Wherever you are, be there totally, what Eckhart Tolle talks about. Now, when I say the denial of the ego, now we have this fancy idea about ego that is fixed, immovable, not changing, not open to change, and inflexible. While Zen talks about that everything is changing. Zen talks about everything is shifting. Everything is changing. Buddha talks about change is constant. So there is no fixed concept of self or ego. It is growing. It is moving. So there is no ego. It is you as a whole. Also, maybe in relationships. Let's say there is a husband and wife or a partner and having difficulty to cope up, because what triggers in them is a particular perspective. That, yeah, this is a perspective, this is fixed because this is coming from my culture, my beliefs, my values. So this is a way to climb Mount Everest. And the other ways are not okay. So where it again comes with some sort of inflexible part of you. But the moment you open a dialogue with a partner and say, what is your perception or concept about what you're looking at? Let's understand different perspectives. Then the ego is not there. What is there is oneness with that particular thing or people. So if I listen deeply, I know there is a different way to climb Mount Everest. If there are a problem with my glasses, if I say I can't see, you say, probably, Paris, why don't you just clean the glasses? And I say, how do I clean the mental maps that I have about things in life? And that's what I term as ego. But the moment you look at the denial of the ego, you are partnering with the person. There is no power play, there is no power position, be it a trainer and trainees, be it a teacher and student, be it the employee and leaders or managers. There is no competition, there is no feeling of powerless feeling or powerful feeling. It's all about being together. And that's where you are mindfully present. The second principle I really loved about it was the focus on interconnectedness in the universe. Now, this can go very philosophical from the Zen concepts, but very connecting is we are not separate from the universe. Whatever I am today, I'm a part of a culture, I'm a part of the whole environment, I'm a part of the whole universe. So if I start learning that, then the inclusivityness becomes very, very open. That I get different kinds of clients for my coaching or different kinds of people or employees. I don't feel they are different and difficult. They are more different, and I can connect with them. The third one is the recognition of attachment as a source of suffering. Now, the moment this is very popular, I think the moment we are attached to something, it gives pain. And the moment it gives you pain, you are not happy, and that starts your suffering. And that's where if a client tells you that, this coaching didn't go well, and then your ego is stuck. Oh, what did I do wrong? And I had certain concepts of being a good coach or a best trainer or a best husband or a best brother. all is collapsing because I'm so attached to these concepts. So what if I learn to say that whatever is appearing in front of me, let me question, let me observe. Let me not go to my fixed memory and fight with that and become more disturbed in the moment and get either depressed or fear or anxious about things in life. So I could probably, whatever is appearing to me, whatever conversation is coming in front of me, how can I look at that conversation with more observation, with more compassion, with more empathy? Then I am in the moment and in the now. So now is not about the clock. Now is about the awareness you get in that moment for your life or for things that you're exploring. And the fourth part talks about the realization that human perception is faulty. Now here we talk about my world, your world, okay? So Zen talks very powerfully about human perception is faulty is whatever you perceive from the environment, you don't perceive it exactly the way it is. You perceive it with your interpretation. And this interpretation distracts, diverts you from the present. And we will talk more on the same. But there's a wonderful story of a monk that I would like to share with everyone. There are two monks who completed their studies. One is a senior monk and a junior monk, and both of them are walking in the forest. And as they're crossing, they see a woman out there who is getting so disturbed to cross the river. And these two monks, are about to cross, and the lady says that, hey, to the senior monk, can you help me to cross the river? And the senior monk says, sure. But the junior monk is saying, oh, we just learned about that we need to stay away from earthly distractions. So why is he agreeing to it? Now, they come to the other side of the river, they cross the river, and the junior monk is very upset. Why is he not, senior monk is listening, and why is he following something like that? And after almost 5 kilometers, this junior monk pauses and says that, hey, we just learned in our studies that we should stay away from people and earthly attachments. Why did you really help that woman? The senior monk says that, hey, the woman required help to cross the river, and I helped her to cross the river. And it's almost now 1.5 hours or 5 kilometers, you're still thinking about her in your head. And that is where we say we're not present. So how can I be more detached? And how can I be more ready to see things, what is appearing for me, and then move on with that? So I really love this Lao Tse statement that if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. And if you're at peace, you're living in the present. If you really check with your own self right now, at this moment, do you experience stress, peace, depression, anxiety? And most of them would feel that if you're present in the moment, you're present in the present, you say, oh, this moment is beautiful. And that's what presence talks about. As Dorjin said, that to study Zen is to study the self, and to study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be awakened by all things. So how can I become more mindful about self and the environment? The separation between self and other is just an illusion that disappears when we are awakened. And that's what he says, point number 2, the focus on interconnectedness in the whole universe. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask me. These are a few key components that I would like to share with you. And one of the key components of mindfulness journey is observe. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. Now, when I say observe, we observe things, and we are so much on an autopilot mode that we quickly get into some sort of judgment about few things. But if you operate from this observation about how do they appear, okay, how people are communicating, why are they communicating? What is making them communicate in a particular way or believe in a particular way? I keep observing. I keep learning a lot about things. But if I observe and just get into quick judgments about things, it is just going to end up me feeling miserable at the end of the day. Now, listening skill is another one that I feel is an important component for presence. How do you really listen when you're listening to people, when you're listening to yourself? Now, what I know, and when I'm listening, I connect. But what happens to me when I don't know, when I'm not able to relate to the other person? My cognition is stuck and it's frozen, and my brain quickly switches to something else. So I'm not in the moment with that person, I'm somewhere else. But if I look at from an open mind to an open heart, if I don't understand, can I be just more compassionate and listen to what is something that I don't relate, but something is meaningful for you? And that's the reason Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus was a beautiful book to understand about open mind and open hearts. So the more we listen from our heart, we listen from the space of compassion and deeper understanding and respect to the other person, you are observing what's appearing and communicating with that space. So you are present in the present. And open will is something that I feel it's natural, because you're listening, because you want to help. All people who are attending this session are wanting to do something meaningful for self and lives of others. So there is an open will to do that. And also, are we listening to what is said and what is not said? So nothing we see or hear is perfect, but right there is an imperfection is perfect reality. That many times people say that, I need to understand clearly. And this word, understand clearly, is very unclear, because you understand based on your awareness in life. So I'm just going to pause here. I'm going to ask everyone if there are any questions coming. So Amita says, active listening is no judgment on anyone or anything. It's observing others' emotion, words, and meaning. Yes. How about the rest? Any questions are emerging for you, or any learnings are emerging for you? Let's take that pause and check with each other. What is emerging for you so far? I like to make these sessions more interactive so that we do not have like monologue and one-way communication. If anyone wants to share anything that you relate to, you confirm to, or you have a question. Yes, Namita?
So actually, what you just said about being in the present, and if when we are in the past, we are depressed, and then we're feeling anxious. I mean, I just experienced that when you said, observe how you're feeling. And it is so true that, when we are in the moment, there is no anxiety and there is no feeling of sadness. So that was a beautiful feeling. And that's when you realize that, okay, that is being in the present, which of course probably is momentary because we need to practice it more. But yes, it does happen. That was beautiful.
It's work in progress. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Anyone else would like to share? Okay. It means that one has to be very aware of self and others' presence, and we do get carried away. Yeah, absolutely.
Paris, I have a point.
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
You see, generally speaking, in any person's life, the ultimate goal of everybody's life is fulfillment, achieving fulfillment. But what happens in reality is that, we are, the way we live in future and past, what you said. So the past is regret and future is the worry. So we are always either regretting something or we are worried about something. So it needs a deliberate effort on oneself to be in the present. And I think you need a stimulus for that, because when I practice this mindfulness, I find that, your mind wavers and it's like a monkey jumping on wild trees. So this metaphor I give you because I connect with it, for a moment you're here and for a moment you are not there. So what you said is right. Like one has to be here in the present, because the present is the present, and you have to enjoy that present. So that comes with deliberation. So I have started doing. I mean, I'd like to just share with you all this. Like I have a trigger. Like maybe, for example, I have a bell, and it, or say a mobile alarm which goes off after 1 minute or 2 minutes, and it works. It brings you back. But only thing, these actions and these exercises are difficult in workplaces. That's all. But it is possible. Thank you.
Yeah, beautifully said. Thank you for that, Debu. Jyoti also said that, sir, I have heard about Michael Neal's simplest model is to show up and respond to, showing up what is based on the coach presence and mindfulness. Yeah, absolutely. What's coming up in the moment, just bring that to the client and let the client decide how meaningful is that for the client space. And that's we say complete partnership. So I have like a poll or quiz for everybody, and that's there on your screen now. Okay, so here it's something that a poll that I would like to hear your understanding. Emotionally, we have many problems, but these problems are not actual problems. They are something created. They are problems pointed out by our self-centered ideas or views. This is said by Shinkru Suzuki. So you have multiple choices here. You can select one or all or three or two, up to you, whatever you connect that to. It's agree, disagree, both, or realistic. Whatever makes, because this is not about right or wrong or black and white. It is about what connects to you when you're sharing this. So we'll wait for the next 10 seconds more. Okay, 15 seconds more, let's say. So a lot of people saying agree. Some are saying both. Some are saying realistic. Okay, so 11 on 16 say agree. Okay, Srini, you can participate as well. My experience says agree on the poll if you're able to see the poll. Yeah. Okay. Great. So 11 or 69% of this group says I agree with this, and that's where we start understanding, what is happening to me emotionally, what is getting triggered, or what is getting invited, what am I inviting that's creating this emotion of anger or sad or depression or anxiety. So once I start learning that, things becomes more connected. Okay, so 18% says both and 24% says realistic. Great. I hope everybody enjoyed this poll before we move to the next one, so you can see here as well. Are you able to see the screen? Yes. Namita, do you want to share something?
Yeah, I have a question at this point. Like, although we understand that, this is an emotion or I'm going through it now, but how does one, sometimes you're so swept by it that it feels, we find it difficult to disengage or entangle us. Disentangle ourselves from it. How one can do that is what, is there a technique to it?
Absolutely. I really like that question. It's the moment I flip and I'm aware that this is a pattern in me. So how can I be more observational? How can I just I believe there is this concept that of how can I build some sort of boundaries of becoming aware about what is my pattern. Like, for example, I was working with somebody who's a leader. He says that when in doubt, I shout and I just don't know what do I do, Paris. And I say, seems to be like a wonderful space that when you're in doubt, you shout. That means you're aware of when you're in doubt, you shout. So what would you like to do differently if you're in doubt in future? Now, when I ask this question, the client said that, this is what my manager used to do. This is what in my education system I learned, in my family system I learned. Okay, so what would you like to feel differently? Or what would you like to do differently? He says, maybe I want to just walk out or pause or do something else, or just abruptly pause that conversation. Hey, it looks like, we're not in a good space. Can we talk later? So if you're aware about the flip, that means you're mindful. You just need to start training your brain of what you want to create instead, because that requires reinforcement. Okay. And second part is the part when you realize you've done that, you can start reflecting of how is it helping me to grow as a leader. It has helped me till here, but it's not helped me till here. So how do I build this? And that is where we invite conversations with that. So more observe, more reflect, more question yourself. And sometimes when you are not even in that space to be mindfully, you get a feedback or 360-degree feedback that, there's a lot of communication issue. Maybe that feedback could be your starting point to explore what are the benefits you're getting by behaving in a particular way and the desired way, what could change. And I think that is to train my brain to be more present of what I can do rather than what I end up doing. When I'm conscious, then I'm less going to do that. I will do something change in that part. So hope that answers your questions somewhere.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's move to the next slide. And there's another component of mindfulness presence is on the internal world and the external world and the interpreter. Now, if I look at the internal world is the world that I live in, which is filled with all the different concepts of life that I've gathered from my lifestyle, from my life, from my culture, from my family system. There are certain beliefs, values, culture, language, or perception of looking at things, or judgments that I hold about certain things in life is a lot about that is there in my internal world. And how do I want to be perceived as an external world? And these two worlds exist, and I keep flipping from one place to another. Either if I'm too stressed, I'm so much in my internal self that I don't get in contact with the external world. And I call that component of awareness is the interpreter. Rather than judging and putting yourself that, hey, why people are thinking about me this way? Am I good enough? Or will people accept me as a leader in this new position? Or will I be able to resolve or take control of these things? And this whole self-doubts are taking you internally. And then they lock you so beautifully that you start having a lot of self-doubt. So you either get into future or past, and then you start, putting yourself into some sort of space that, oh, will I be able to handle this very well? So the interpreter is where I say needs to change, needs to talk. So I would probably talk to my interpreter that, hey, I do not know whether what's going to happen next, but I know that I have certain competency that will help me to move further. And that's what changes. So the internal world and the external world, the interpreter. The moment we start talking to the interpreter that, hey, what appears to me looks like a very difficult problem, but I know myself, I know competency, I can do that. Let me explore it further. Let me learn, let me observe, let me reflect. Things again change. You are in the moment, less of anxiety and more peace. The more and more you become aware, the lesser you are having self-doubts, and you are able to be present and have a lasting impression in lives of people. So I'm mindful about the time. Yeah. So if there are any questions, feel free to ask me. And this is the next slide that I would like to talk. Another component of mindfulness journey is accounting versus discounting. Now, before I get there to accounting versus discounting, let me put another poll for everybody here. Whatever you've learned so far from that slide, please participate in this. Awakening is intimacy with all things. Dawson says that. Now you have a choice whether you agree, you disagree, you say both, you say it's realistic, you say all four. Wonderful. Wow. Oh, people are participating, powerfully. So we have another 30 seconds to look at. So 71%, so last 5 seconds more. When there's a stress in presence, what happens? 5 seconds more, 3 seconds more, okay. I end the poll. Okay, share results. So 67% says they agree, while 22% people say disagree, while 6% say both, and 6% says realistic. So again, when we look at the more and more I'm awakening myself, I'm becoming aware, I'm learning many things, I'm unlearning a lot of things. And my intimacy with things increases because there's a less of what we say confusion or doubts, and it is more about connectedness. Now, I've been working with a client for almost 18 sessions, and initially I was not able to understand whether the client is gaining any benefits from coaching, though the answers were all great, though the coaching was happening. But there's a part of me was getting that space that, okay, the client is not sharing whether it's helping, but the client is coming every time. And that put me back into the future tense that, oh, am I doing coaching well? Or am I doing this training well, or this mentoring well? And one fine day, just in the moment, I happened to ask the client that, it seems to be almost 18 sessions. How far have you reached? What would you like to acknowledge about your journey? And it says that, Paris, the more and more I'm learning about myself, there's a lot of unlearning happening, and that's so difficult. And it's so truculent. At the age of 50, I have to do all these changes. And, and then when I go back from the session, I'm so much in an overwhelming situation. I just don't know how to react. And then I learned that, hey, what was appearing and what my fantasy was is so different. So how can I be mindful and just question if I have? Okay, so thank you for participating on the poll 2. And I would like to move to the next. If you have any questions so far, any reflections, feel free to share. Put your hands, I'll be happy to support. The next component comes as accounting versus discounting. The more and more I'm accounting self, accounting others, accounting the relationship, accounting the environment, and accounting the situation, the less and less I'm discounting things around. So the more and more I'm accounting, the more and more I'm becoming aware. So what I learned for myself is that if I account, okay, for my client's experience, my relation with that client, and just simply ask that question. So accounting helps a lot by helps a lot to complete the whole circle. So you're not in that doubt space. In the same way, when you're working with your client, let's say in a coaching session, when you start asking questions on different aspects of that goal, you're helping the client to account more and more and become more mindfully present about the whole perspective that is present in the room. Or in a relationship, there is a conflict, or people are unhappy, there is less of communication. How would you like to resolve that? By accounting of what is working well in this relationship, what can we do differently, rather than discounting that, hey, oh, he doesn't like or she doesn't like me, or they do not like me. So the more you account, the more you grow, and the more you're present to do some changes. And that brings to a very interesting point that I want to bring up is my space, your space, and our space. So let's say there is a couple and both of them have difficulty communicating because of the value conflict. One says that you don't have time for me, you don't call me throughout the day, you just call me one time, some text message, though they're married for say maybe 8 years. And there's this whole thing of looks like we're not enjoying each other's company. So, and then there are a lot of complaints about each other. So when there is no acknowledgement, it manifests into a form of complaints to each other, because that's another way for getting some sort of acknowledgement, even if it's not a positive acknowledgement. So this is one of the powerful models you can use. Okay, what is my space, your space, and our space? So my space, your space, and our space in between. So from my space, when I see this is what I experience about you. From your space, when you see me, this is what you experience about me in your frame of reference. Now let's look at our space, what we want to create in this moment. What do we want to have in this moment to be more meaningful? Because there is a particular reason we have a conflict from each other's space. Let's come together in our space and let's see how the communication grows. And again, you are more mindfully present to do something meaningful, what is appearing for you. Not getting into my space with a lot of data points that, hey, look, this is what you did last time, this is what you did that time. In the same way, if there is too much of closeness, it's both of them operating too much in our space, and there is a boredom in that relationship, we can also operate from having your space and my space separately. So again, mindfulness presence is so much, flexible in the way you use this particular framework. So whenever you are stuck in some conflict in relationship, check it out from your space, my space, our space. But it's not necessary for couples, or relationship could be from maybe your boss and employee, or is this some sort of conflict of non-acceptance of a leader, or you have a difficulty, you feel the employee is trying to overpower you. So use this first individually and see what changes. Amita says that when one awakes is the time when a person is self-aware and thus moves away from attachment and thus be able to distinguish between intimacy and certain emotions of people. Thank you for that. So are we clear so far about my space, your space, our space? Any learning or any reflection is emerging for you? Anyone?
Paras, hi, Amita here.
Yes, Amita.
Yeah, I was just typing it out, but I guess it's better that I speak and I let you know what I did today. So yeah, I have been studying for quite some time and completely underground, not available to the kids. So my 11-year-old's school is starting from Monday, the 6th of June. And I told him that let's create our space today, which means Mama doesn't study for a day. She gives you the entire day. At the same time, you have a younger sister who's 9 years, and then you have your father. So let's create how would you like to spend your entire day before the weekend before your school starts? And we kind of, in conversation, this was 8:30 in the morning while we were having breakfast, discussed how the day would craft. And that really helped. He just gave me the permission to attend this workshop. And just before this workshop, he stated, Mom, it was a great space. I enjoyed it. And I allow you now your space.
Wow, that's so powerful, isn't it? And it's so amazing to share that you're doing that already. So it's so amazing to see and reflect and learn that it is so possible to use this as a problem-solving tool, Okay, I'm also mindful about the time, so I'm just going to quickly move to the next part, which is talking about triggers. Now, what happens when somebody gives you some feedback which is maybe not functionally accepted by you? You either go into self-pity, you go into an anger or fight-flight zone, and then you're not present in the present and you're then coming out from some sort of maybe an anger or aggressive version of you. So how can I be more aware about my triggers? So whenever anybody gives me a feedback, how can I start looking at that feedback as a perspective rather than some sort of confirmed reality? So it's the perspective you hold, and I would like to explore this in my free time. However, maybe I'm not happy about this, so I don't choose to take that. So if I'm able to be present what is appearing for me and not get carried away by my triggers, I can enjoy the present with more peace. There'll be a lot of chaos in that room, but you will be at peace because you start looking at feedback as a perspective, not as a confirmed reality or confirmed sort of quality about you. The last two things that I want to bring it to your attention is about the roles. Wherever you are, be there totally. And I really resonate this. Can I be? It's work in progress. So the roles that you pick up as a manager or as a husband, wife, or as a friend, can you be present in that session totally? Can you be present in that space totally? And that's where I say, start becoming mindfully present about your own self. The last but not the least is one of the most powerful tool or framework that I want to share. Whenever you get stuck in your life, use this pre-QA model or framework, which is called pause, reflect, empathize, question, and accept. So I think, my friend doesn't like, we got some differences, and I'm having a very hard day talking to my friend today. Okay, pause, reflect. What happened? What have you contributed to that communication? Empathize not only with the other person, with your own self. Okay, I think I did this was not correct. I could have done differently. Ask questions. How would you like to resolve it now differently? What can you contribute in that conversation? And then believe in the positive intention and start accepting that space. Maybe my friend requires some time to pause, and let's connect back whenever you're ready. So when you use this model, you are never going to feel left out, or going to feel that, hey, people don't like me, or I'm in a very difficult situation here. You'll always have some sort of framework or way out to cross that bridge. So it's very simple. Whenever you are feeling like what Namita said, was that if there's an emotional outburst, pause, reflect. Okay, when you start reflecting, you're bringing your cognition in place, you're bringing your awareness in space, what's happening to you. Start empathizing. Yeah, I'm getting angry, and yeah, I know I should not be angry, but it's okay, I'm angry right now. But question, is this anger going to help me to build that relationship? And start accepting, okay, let me choose another way to handle the situation. Let that angry part be somewhere else. I can deal with that separately. But let me have a better communication with this person so I don't flip on the other side. So pre-QA is a wonderful framework that can be very helpful if you get stuck anywhere. So before we move to the last slide, okay, I would like to check in with another poll for you. Okay. How does this resonate to you, everyone? Wherever you are, be there totally. Difficult for me, relatable, attachment issues, achievable and realistic, all 4 options. And I'm so happy that, in this session, we are not judgmental about ourselves and others. We are ourselves sharing what's coming in. So even if it's difficult and truculent, it's fine. Even if it's relatable, it's fine. Even if it's an attachment issue, it's fine. Or all 4 is fine. Yeah. Amida says it's not very easy, but it only works when we practice. So I have started using reflective notes and gratitude notes at the end of the day. Wow, yeah, journaling is so beautiful. So last 10 seconds, we have 88% people participating. Let's make it 100% quickly. Last 5, 4, 3. Doesn't stress create more presence? 3, 2, 1, and let's see the results. Okay. 35% people contributed by saying it's difficult for me. And I truly agree that it's a work in progress. While 24% of people say it's relatable. Yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes it's good in principle, may not be in practice. 6% say attachment. Yeah, I too agree that. And 41% says achievable and realistic. Yes. And 12% says all for. Wow, that's wonderful. Great. So where can I use mindfulness presence? Firstly, is for coaches. If you are already practicing mindfulness, I could see that, and a lot of people are trainers, coaches, consultants. You already being mindfully present. So this is very good, and this framework is very powerful for coaches or trainers or consultants or leaders. Not to get stuck or worry about what others think. It just go with what appears in front of you. I think one of the team members said that just go and face it, whatever comes to you, and that's where you're present. The second is for couples and working partners. This particular application is very interesting, mainly the my space, your space, and our space, and also the pre-QA model. It's very helpful so that we are less angry, but more connected to people. In organization, when you want to manage conflicts or giving feedback to each other with more compassion, I think the pre-QA model is very helpful. And also one more thing that I want to ask everyone, that how many people are present in celebrating your achievements? Do we really celebrate that, hey, I did a good job today? Or you give yourself a positive appreciation every day, maybe at least 4 or 5 times. How many people really do that? Or we are not yet aware that this is something which is important and meaningful for my dopamine to release, my oxytocin to get released, all positive hormones to get released in my body. So before we could move to the closure part of today's session, okay, there's a final poll for today. Sorry, yeah. And there's the last poll. Okay. This session is helpful for me to apply these learnings: personal growth, role of a coach, consultant, trainer, partnership, family, or business. All 3 options, none. Okay. Last 10 seconds more. 10, 9, 8. 61% of people have participated. 77 now. 5, 4, 3, 2. 83%. Last 2 seconds, and we go. Oh wow, the results are amazing, phenomenal. Like 25% said personal growth, 13% said the role of a coach, while 6% said partnership, but 81% said all 3 options. And I totally agree, that's so much relatable for all aspects of our life. So it's charity begins at home. Absolutely, Mona, I totally agree with that. And the last slide that I want to take you through is to just take you through the next upcoming webinars in case if you wish to attend. Personal Foundation for Coaching for Success. It's on June 16. If you've not yet registered, please visit the same website and register today. I would also be talking on the 24th June, how to become a life coach, in case if you're looking to contribute more of your learnings or you want to learn more about life coaching, feel free to be a part of it. We have also Matrix upcoming programs, which is Mindfulness Practitioner Level 1 on July 2022, and ICF and Matrix Coach Certification July and September 2022. So yeah, This is important for people who are going for CC hours. The completion code is this. I'm going to copy this for you so that you go to the same dashboard and paste it.
Paras, can you share the link also, CCE?
The CC, who is saying that? Yeah, just one second.
Sorry, it's
Amita,
me, Paras Amita. Yeah.
You already registered, right, for that particular thing. Today you registered for
Yeah,
your,
absolutely, I did.
So you have to go to the same dashboard. You will see webinars, events, and then apply for that thing. It will ask for a closing code. That's the code you place in, and then you can get the certificate immediately. Okay.
Sure, sounds good.
So before we could close, the last session, the last slide for everybody is, what did I learn from today's session? What do I want to acknowledge about self in today's session? So we will give this, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people would like to participate quickly, then we can go for saying goodbye to each other. So anyone, what did I learn? How did I experience today's session, or what did I learn from today's session, and what would I like to acknowledge about my own self in today's session? Yes, Priyanka.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, in today's session, sir, I acknowledged and I will learn my space, your space, and our space. This is the most beautiful thing. And second was pre-QA, and it will help us a lot if I practice it when I had a conflict with somebody, or when I have to ask questions from ourselves or from others. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome, thank you. Please call me Paras, Priyanka. Otherwise, I find myself, I'm growing older.
Okay, thank you so much, Paras. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Namita and then Sandeep. And few of them.
Yes, of course, as Priyanka said, so pre-QA is very, very powerful. But I also found this very interesting, as I said earlier, that present moment when we are at peace, and especially, this thing about not taking triggers like feedback as personal criticism, rather than taking it as a perspective where we may agree to disagree, is also very powerful. Thank you so much, Paras. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that sharing, Namita. Yes. Sandeep, how are you? Good evening to you. So glad to see you. Yes. You're on mute, Sandeep, I believe. Yeah. Okay. Maybe you're on mute, Sandeep. I can't hear you. Well, Joseph says that it's a pre-QA really stood out for me. Okay, how about the rest? How are you feeling in the moment? Just type in. Let's see. How are you feeling now? I'm feeling great. Okay, Joseph. I'm feeling very peaceful talking to all of you today. Joyful and peaceful. Yeah. Okay, thanks for Paras, feeling amazing. Wonderful, very interesting webinar. Thank you so much. Yeah, great. So it's time to say goodbye to each other for now and ready to conquer the world. I love that, Srini. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, this was not allowing me to unmute. Oh, Sandeep, unmute. Okay, ask to unmute. Yeah, can you try that, Sandeep? Thank you for a great session, being awesome. I enjoyed it. Would you like to type in, Sandeep, in case if you're not able to, there could be some technical glitch. Yeah. Gita says feel at peace. Yeah, it doesn't allow. Would you like to type in, Sandeep? Maybe there could be some technical issue. Okay. So, and the rest of them, yes, so much of wisdom shared. Thanks, Nayan, once again. Okay. All right, Sandeep, do you want to type in quickly, or do we say goodbye to each other for now? Okay, Zen principle of space and pre-QA. Okay, great, everybody. Thank you. Namaste, everyone. Look forward to see you in many more webinars. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. Good day as well. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you, Paras. Have a good one.
Bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good night all. Bye.
Bye. Good night. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining in.
Bye. Thank you so much
Bye.
for this beautiful session. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.